Guys, my name's Lauren, and this is your Belmont Writing Center tutor tip. So sometimes students have trouble with in-text citations. So in this video, we're going to go over how to in-text cite your sources in MLA, APA, and Chicago. So let's start with MLA. So here I have a paragraph that I'm working on citing, and I've noted for myself where I need to cite different sources in my paper. I also have my works cited all done here. It's all beautiful and all correct in MLA, which is really helpful when you're going in and in-text citing to have that done for yourself. So here is the first cite that we have. So I'm going to get rid of that notation I made for myself, and I'm going to put in some parentheses. So make sure that there's a space, and then the start of your parentheses, the close of your parentheses, and then the period for the end of the sentence after your in-text citation. So for MLA, inside of our in-text citation, we need the author's last name. So I know this one comes from my first source, Buchanan. And if I have any page numbers, I'll go ahead and put those page numbers after the author's last name. But it looks like here I don't have any because this is an online source. So all I need is this last name. For this one, I know this is from my next source. So I'm going to go ahead and put in those parentheses. My next source is Kuntz. So I'm going to go ahead and put in Kuntz's last name. And it looks like Kuntz has page numbers. So I know this comes from page, let's say 147. So this is where we're going to have the author's last name and the page number in our in-text citation. Here is another cite where I need. And so note here how this quotation ends at the end of this sentence, and then after the quotation, I put in the cite. The quote doesn't come after the cite or after the period. It comes after the last word of the quotation. So this cite is from Monroe and Monroe. So I'm going to go ahead and put in their names. And it looks like this has page numbers as well, and I think this is from page 500. Here also we have another cite. So we're going to get rid of that cite notation. And this cite doesn't have an author. So when we don't have an author, we go ahead and put the first couple words of the title in those parentheses. And since it's a title, it's also going to come in quotations. This would be the same if you have a source that's a book that doesn't have an author, which is highly unlikely. But if you do, you would make sure that that book is italicized because you italicize titles of books, just like you put quotes around the titles of articles or chapters, things like that. So here I know this one is also from Buchanan, so I'm going to go ahead and put in Buchanan here. So there's another thing you can do with your in-text citations where if you want to put the author's name within the context of your sentence, you can do that, but it will just change up the in-text citation for your sentence. So say you wanted to put according to Buchanan here at the beginning of this sentence, then what you need to do is get rid of this in-text citation because your reader already knows where this source is coming from. It's a little different if you have author and page number. So say here you wanted to say according to Kuntz. Here we would just get rid of the author's last name. You still need that page number there to show your reader, okay, this is the page where I'm getting this source from. So that's how you would in-text cite in MLA. Let's go ahead and look at APA. So APA is a little different. So in APA, what we're going to do is we're going to cite that last name of the author, but we're going to also cite the date instead of a page number. So in APA, dates are really important because it's mostly used for social sciences like communications and business. Therefore, that date shows that your source is up to date, it's credible, it's something that you're going to be using in your paper that is showing that you're using relevant sources. So for that, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to have that parentheses, right? And we're going to have that author's last name. And then we're going to put a comma. And then we're going to put the date that that article was written. So for Buchanan, it was written in 2006. So we're going to do the same for all of them. So for Kuntz, it's going to be the same way. And I believe Kuntz is in 2003. So we're going to go ahead and put that comma and put that 2003 there. For Monroe as well, do that same thing. Comma, 2000, let's see, 2003. So for here, we also have somewhere where we need to cite. So we're going to go ahead and put in that citation there. So this is the same thing as the MLA. We don't have an author. So we're going to put the title, the first couple words of the title. So make sure that you're formatting these exactly like they're formatted in your Works Cited. So in MLA, you know how we had those parentheses around, or not parentheses, we had those quotes around the title. In APA, they don't do that. They also do this weird thing where every word but the first word is lowercase. It's weird. I don't know why they do it, but we're just going to make sure that we format the same way that's formatted in our Works Cited in our in-text citation. So that's what it would look like. And here as well, we know this is from Buchanan. So we're going to go ahead and put in last name, comma, date. So similar to MLA, in APA, you can also introduce the quote within your sentence. So to do that, we can say something like, according to Buchanan, but it's going to look a little different because right after Buchanan's last name, in parentheses, we're going to put that date in that it was written. This shows your reader that, you know, you're using up to date sources. It comes right there. It's really important for APA. So that's going to go there, and we're going to get rid of this in-text citation at the end of the sentence. I also tell students that if they're using a source in APA and it doesn't have a date, maybe that's not the best source to be using because it's going to make your in-text citations really hard. It's going to make your references look a little strange because there's no dates, because dates are really, really important to APA. So maybe if your source doesn't have a date, you need to go find that information in a source that does, or consult with your professor and say, hey, does this source look credible? I notice it doesn't have a date. Can I still use it? That's something definitely that you can do. Okay, so now that we're done with APA, let's go look at Chicago. So Chicago and Turabian are basically the same thing. So if your professor says, I want your paper written in Chicago, I want it written in Turabian, they mean the same thing. And Chicago is a lot different from APA and MLA in that they use footnotes, endnotes, and notes and bibliography. It's a bunch of different ways that you can cite your sources. So for this Chicago paper, I have it set as footnotes. So what that means is that basically I have these ones, twos, threes, these little superscript ones at the end of my sentence that correlate with my footnotes down here. And so you can see how 1 correlates with this footnote, and then 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the footnote is going to have similar information to your bibliography, which is this here, although it's slightly different. So I highly encourage you to go look at the Chicago Manual style website, and I'll show that to you later, because that's going to be a really good resource for you when you go in and try to figure out, like, okay, how is my footnote looking different from my bibliography? And if your professor wants endnotes, how does that look different from a footnote? Those sorts of things. So Chicago is definitely something where your professor is gonna hopefully supply that information to you. But if they don't, definitely reach out to them and ask them, okay, what do I need to have in this paper? Footnotes or endnotes, basically, is what you need to figure out. So what happens is here in this subscript 1, this correlates with Buchanan here. And so we have Buchanan's name, the title of his article, and then kind of where we got it, the URL. So say that this next footnote here too is also from Buchanan. What we would do is we would do a shortened citation here. So all it would be is Buchanan's last name, comma, and then the first couple words of his title. So I like to do 3 for these endnotes like this. And since there's no page numbers, we can just put a period there. If there was page numbers, be a comma, and then we put the page that we got it from. And then make sure that this is in Times New Roman 10 point. Sometimes when I go down here and start typing, it's in a different font. Like here, see, it's an Arial. So we want to make sure that we're keeping it in Times New Roman. So let's even say that this third one here is also Buchanan. So we've already done the longer Buchanan citation. We have the shortened Buchanan. So what do we do next? So Chicago has this thing called an IBIB. So what you would do is you write IBIB, period. And that just signals to your reader that this 3 is coming from whatever is above it. So this is the Chicago Manual of Style website I was telling y'all about earlier. I really like using this resource when I'm working on a Chicago paper because it's just really simple and really easy to read. So you can see here they have that longer note. They also show you a shortened note, and then they show you what it would look like in your bibliography page. And they have all of those for all the different types of sites that you need. So they even have, you can see over here, book reviews, interviews, websites, interviews, social media, theses, like everything you need is right here. So it's really easy and really simple to read. So I hope this video is really helpful for y'all. Make sure that if you have any questions that you talk to your professor, ask them about anything you're struggling with. They're definitely there to help you. And we're also there to help you in the Writing Center. So come see us there as well. Thank you.